I'm David Meyers. I'm the Executive Director of the Ponca City Development Authority. We're the economic development organization for Ponca City, Oklahoma. We are a public trust of the City of Ponca City, and what that essentially means is that we are supported by a small sales tax initiative that's passed by the voters, and those funds are dedicated to economic development in our micropolitan community of 25,000 people. We're a former oil town. That is to say, we were very, very big in oil for about 100 years, but oil only lasts so long, so we've been working to diversify our economy since 1994 when that sales tax was passed, and PCDA has been in business since then. The reason why we decided to become accredited is because we felt it was important for three different reasons. One of them was because we wanted to set up an organization that was really following the best practices of economic development. We had essentially a peer review process through the AEDO process, which came in, looked at our strategic plan, looked at our marketing plan, our management, our various other policies and procedures, and gave us advice, gave us suggestions, some critiques, if you will. That helped us set up the organization that we wanted so that we could function properly and appropriately and efficiently. The second thing is, as an organization that is essentially funded through our taxpayers through a small sales tax initiative, we wanted to be able to tell our voters when they voted for us every 5 years or voted on the dedicated sales tax initiative that we did know what we were doing. We didn't want the question to be, why didn't we get the next Amazon project? We wanted to be much more substantive about whether economic development was proving worthwhile for them or not. That was number two. The third reason was, as a smaller community, oftentimes site consultants or large businesses will want the reassurance that they will be dealing in a professional environment with people who know what they're doing in an organization that has the capacity to work with them and serve their needs. I think the biggest impact is that it truly has been if you will, a seal of approval from the economic development profession that the Ponca City Development Authority is a professionally operated organization that can meet the needs of business, because having that peer review process, that accreditation process that we went through, did assure us both internally within our organization as well as externally to our stakeholders as well as prospective businesses in our existing business community that we did have the right products in place, that we did have the right procedures in place, that our staff was operating efficiently, and that we knew what we were doing. So that's been a tremendous boon for us, and it's why we've gone through reaccreditation 2 other times since our first accreditation. We wanted to make sure that we were still honing that line and that we were still operating within the parameters of best practices within the economic development profession. It took us about 2 years to finally get board support, that is to say the support of our community, to actually go through the process. And I think that once it was fairly clear to our leadership that the process entailed other economic development organizations coming in, looking us over and so forth, in a sense benchmarking ourselves, a reverse benchmarking where they came in to us and looked at what we were doing, that generated a lot of excitement because there was a feeling that we could learn from those professionals coming in, and in fact we did. It also gave us the opportunity, as I said, to line up everything from our strategic plan to our marketing plan to our budget to various personnel policies and things like that to make sure that they were honed and ready. It's not the easiest process to go through, but that's the point. The point is to make your organization a better organization, to come out at the other end of this with an organization that you have confidence in, that your stakeholders have confidence in, and that your external audiences have confidence in. I'd say that there's a few things that you need to make sure. First of all, you need to make sure what it is you're about, why you're doing economic development. We still find organizations throughout this continent that economic development is still fairly loosely defined. So I think it's very important for an organization to understand what it is it wants to achieve through economic development, whether that is a strengthened business, existing business environment, whether that's strengthened retail, perhaps a more aggressive or more assertive outreach recruitment process. Perhaps it's something that's much more in the workforce development area. But I think it's important for an organization to have defined what it, rather it is to have decided what it defines as success in economic development. It can be a lot of those things, but it can't be all of those things. It's got to be far more refined. And there's got to be a consensus among leadership, and this is what strategic planning is all about, as to which direction the organization is going in, and support for something like an AEDO process. And that also is another benefit of the AEDO process, is it does help build that consensus. I think those things are very important before you start the process. I would actually refine mine a little bit to communities like mine, micropolitan communities, small non-metro, non-urban communities. I think it's terribly important for those of us in those smaller non-urban areas, which are often overlooked in not only in terms of site searches, but also in terms of the dialogue and conversations as they relate to workforce and economic development, to really get ourselves out there, to prove our stuff, to let the world know that we know what we're doing and that we are a player. I think that's the challenge that I would issue to other communities of my size. I think the AEDO process is fairly well defined at this point. As I said, we've been involved with it now for about 8 years, and it's gotten to a point where it's not going to be changing, and that's very consistent, and that's very important. The consistency of the program. This is what you need. These are the standards. Within various things, there's some change within some of that, but I think the process itself is very well defined. It's being run by some very, very competent people. It's extremely helpful. It is a lot of work, but again, that's the point. And I think organizations will come out at the other end of the AEDO process very, very glad they did. Oh, absolutely. As I said, it's more or less a reverse benchmarking for us. And it costs money to go out to other communities and to go visit them and see what they're doing. To have those communities come to you and not only meet with you, but meet with the people that perhaps would not be making those benchmarking tours, and learning from them is extremely valuable to us, has been extremely valuable to us.